You know, that's where the growing comes from, is from those failures. And that's where I learned a lot about the mental side of the game, which I think you'll talk to anybody in baseball or even just in sports in general. A lot of the game is mental.
I've been getting it since a toddler, I keep dollars on my head. Been a real one is my motto, handle my problems, I ain't scared. I put powder on my collar, cause she proud of what I said. I'm a leader, I got on follow, in my footsteps like the feds. I shoot like I'm Montana, chop up bullets, make them shit.
A line drive, base hit to right.
Backseat sipping red. I'm from Atlanta with these buddies like that. Condo like the pharmacy, I got codeine in my fridge. My bro on a steaming stove, cooking crack like grits. Got this vibe on a tippy toe, struggling in a pit. LA live, I'm staying at the lows with this Hollywood. Gotta die, then the snows, no can't wait to let it hit. Pull up with a stick, I pull up with a stick. I pull up with a pink toe, whipping, she sucking it. I put some diamonds on her toes, let her on it, I'm rich. You was used to pulling kick those, you can still call it a leak. Broken can't be fixed, when the knees is meant to knee.
Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Kwan. I'm currently with the Cleveland Indians, former Oregon State Beaver. Thanks for tuning in, and this is my story. Yeah, so I grew up in Fremont, California. I spent my early days in Sunnyvale going to school, but then I ended up going to high school at Washington High School. I got a brother and a sister. I'm the baby, which is real nice. And yeah, I think I really appreciate both my brother and my sister. I think they instilled the confidence and little competition that I think every baby in the family needs. You know, you always want to beat your older brother and then your older sister as well when she's playing sports. So I think they have a big impact on who I am today. Yeah, growing up, I didn't really play other sports other than baseball. I played like organized dodgeball during lunchtime in like middle school and high school, but I wanted to play football, but my mom told me she thought it was a terrible idea because I wanted to be a kick returner and a running back, and she's like, you can get your head cracked open. And I was like, I think I'd be all right, but I think looking back, it was definitely the right decision to not play football. I think I was like 150 pounds, 145, so that would have been terrible. Yeah, so for travel ball, I was actually kind of one of those guys who'd play on multiple travel ball teams. That's where I first met Nick, was for Burgervich at Head First. You know, shout out all the Head First guys, the Rakers boys also, that we know mutually. But yeah, I played with them, like San Diego Show, NorCal Valley. And I think it was the San Diego Show where I first got I got looked at for the recruiting process. I remember we were down in San Diego for a tournament, and we had to face this Dallas team. And you know, the Texas guys are always real good, real big. And then we had a scouting report on this pitcher who threw like 95 at the time when we were 17. His name was Michael Kopech, but I didn't know who that was at the time. He's a big leaguer now. He throws gas, but I think I snaked a single up the middle off of him, and that was kind of when I had some coaches watching for the recruiting process, and then I just got I was just in some fortunate spots, and they saw me play, and that's when I got recruited for Oregon State. But it started down there in San Diego with the San Diego Show. Yeah, and I felt really fortunate during my my recruiting process because, you know, growing up, and obviously as you can see, you know, I'm 5'8" with cleats on. 150 at the time. I wasn't a big guy, you know, not one of those like very toolsy kind of guys. So, you know, a lot of college teams don't really look for that. It's not something that jumps out to them. And that was kind of something that was, you know, kind of like growing up, that was kind of what I've always been going through. I'd never made the area code team. I made like the first round, they cut me. For the USA tryouts when we were like 12, you know, I made it to the second round, got cut. So I never really made it to those high prestige things, but I think I was just fortunate that, you know, I really loved the game. I didn't let it get me down too much. So I think it was just, you know, sticking with it, understanding that I love the game and I enjoyed the process of it, being around some really good people, and obviously the support of my parents. Yeah, and it had a definite, it hit me with the confidence a little bit because, you know, you see other people succeeding around you and you want to be one of those guys. And I think that also kind of segued into my college career, of where, you know, I came into a really strong recruiting class. You know, we had Nick Madrigal, Caden Grenier, Trevor Larnick, you know, all those big name guys, Bryce Femmel, you know, they were starters right off the bat. And I remember thinking to myself, I had a little bit of like imposter syndrome, kind of like, do I belong here? Like, Did I just get lucky at some tournaments? Did the coaches make a mistake? So that was kind of something I dealt with early on, was just huge confidence issues. Yeah, that freshman year, I definitely had to learn a ton of things. I would say that's like the really first time that like I failed, and it wasn't just like I wasn't playing kind of thing. Like it was like a hard failure, like contemplating if I could even play college ball anymore. I remember my first start was against Ball State, and the pitcher was Zach Plesac, who's now a pitcher with the Cleveland Indians, which is ironic. But he's Dan Plesac's son, which is another former big leaguer. Or no, he's his nephew. But I remember just being domed up for no reason. You know, he's got that big last name, Plesac. I'm like, oh, I'm in college now. Like, this ain't travel ball. This isn't high school anymore. Like, it's the real deal. And totally domed me up. I started that game, which was really cool. But I struck out twice. I missed a sign. I didn't get a bunt down, and I let a fly ball go over my head. So during the game, even I was domed up. I was like, man, like I'm playing terrible. Like I gotta start doing better. And that just compounded tenfold onto myself. And then after the game, I knew I messed up bad, and I didn't play into a game for at least another month. It wasn't even like a pinch hit or anything. I rode the bench, so I was really rattled, and I didn't know if I had what it took to play college baseball. Yeah, but I think that's where the growing comes from, is from those failures, and that's where I learned a lot about the mental side of the game, which I think you'll talk to anybody in baseball or even just in sports in general. A lot of the game is mental. And that's when I started seeing one of our sports psychiatrists. They started talking about meditating, doing different cues to keep yourself centered in the game. And that's also when me and a couple other teammates started meditating a ton. And we had one of our hitting coaches guide us through it. But I truly believe that meditating has changed my life for the best. Being able to get somewhere to recenter and kind of take a step back and everything, like especially in sport, not only in sports, in life as well, but sports, it works wonders. It keeps you confident, it keeps you where you need to be, and I think applying those things over the course of the year is really what helped me start to get back on track in baseball. But talking about baseball as well, another thing that got me on the lineup was bunting. I want to talk to the kiddies out there. You gotta learn to bunt. It doesn't matter how big you are, how small you are. College, at least on the West Coast, you're gonna have to bunt. So just start early. It's not hard, but that's the reason why I played. I would be a pinch bunter. If it was like the 6th inning, we were down by 1. We had to run around first, no outs or 1 out. I would get put in to bunt, get the guy over. And then, if we were fortunate enough to score a couple runs and take the lead, then they would keep me in the game. And, I get another at bat, and that's where I could like sneak a hit or something, or sneak an extra at bat. But bunting is 100% what got me back into the lineup. And truthfully, if I couldn't bunt, if I was just a bad bunter, I probably wouldn't have played at all my freshman year, and I would have never gotten an opportunity. So I just want to look in the camera, dead in the eye, like learn how to bunt. You got to learn how to bunt if you want to play college baseball. Yeah, so going into sophomore year, I felt way more confident. I had a lot more tools equipped this time, mentally. Well, actually, I guess I should backpedal. I pulled my hamstring in summer ball after my freshman year, so that kind of set me back, but that also kind of gave me a time to collect my thoughts and kind of really that was like the last footing of like, all right, like I know I know what I need to do on the field and off the field to be successful. And then I came back from my hamstring injury around winter time. So I knew I had the tools, and like I applied everything I needed to, and then I was really confident that I would start to be able to contribute a little more my sophomore year. But the way baseball goes, I just came off to a slow start. No excuse. I played really poorly, and I wasn't getting as many much playing time as I wanted. But halfway through the year is when things started clicking, and that sophomore year team was a fun one. We were number 1 in the country for, I want to say like in a month in, we had the number 1 spot and we didn't give it up. I think before we got to Omaha, we were 54-4. We didn't lose one conference series in the pack, which I don't think has been done before. I want to say we had maybe 10 or 11 comeback wins, like 5 walk-offs. Like, it was just a special year. Our pitching staff had a team ERA of, I want to say it was like 1.8, and we had our ace had the best ERA in the nation with like a 0.7. So I mean, that team was stacked top to bottom. We went into playoffs. We won the regional. We played Vanderbilt for the super regional, and that was cool just because you kind of hear the stature of Vanderbilt, and what they're all about. And then you see them come to your yard because we were the higher seed, and just to see, you know, Tim Corbin, all those players coming in, it was really cool. But, you know, we played really good baseball again. They had some really good pitchers. I believe the first game we faced Kyle Wright, who's a big leaguer with the Braves, and you know, it was a hard-fought battle, but we made it on top of that one, and we took the 3-game series, and you know, we were off to Omaha, and that was a definite treat. The 2013 team for the Beavers were the first ones to go to the Omaha in recent time, and so they kind of told us about what it was like. But truly, you can only experience Omaha for yourself. You don't get the same effect if somebody tells you. Pat Casey has this thing where he talks about that moment when you step from the tunnel out into the field. It's something different. It's a gorgeous venue. The fans are amazing. It's a true treat. But you know, baseball, it's just funky sometimes. We faced LSU, and don't want to get into it much, but there was some controversial calls, is what we'll call it. But it was just unfortunate that our season had to end. We left it in the umpire's hands. But yeah, we played LSU for that one. We had a 3-game series with them, and we ended up losing the 3-game series. We took the first one, but we lost the last 2. And yeah, it was a really unfortunate end. We finished the season 56-6. I want to say that was top 3 win percentage in all of college baseball history. I think ASU topped us, and I want to say maybe Miami. But yeah, that was a monumental year. But I mean, as everybody knows, it doesn't mean anything unless you win the last game at the end of the year. I think it obviously hurt at the time, losing to LSU, but that kind of fuel of remembering how it felt to lose is kind of what inspired us for the next year. I remember when we lost that game against LSU, I was the one on third base, and our third base coach looks me straight in the eye. He goes, "Kwan, never forget this moment of what losing feels like. Make this something you guys never forget." And so it was really cool. Afterwards, Nick Madrigal, he was our captain of the team, and he brought us together, and he basically made it known our junior year that this was going to be the year where we finish the business. You know, we have we had the best record, but we didn't win it, so that meant nothing. So now we have to dig deep, and finish the thing. And he did a great job of team culture. You know, I think we did a good job as a team of, you know, obviously we were really talented, but as corny as it sounds, you know, we loved each other. You know, that was my brothers we were playing around. You know, when I'm looking at the field, those are just, you know, your best friends, your boys. It's nothing else you can describe. You know, you want to play, you want to win for them. You're not even playing for yourself at that point. You're playing for your brothers because you want them to succeed. So that year was pretty similar to the year before in terms of conference play. We were ranked top 5 for the whole year. I think eventually we finished 3rd. We definitely lost more games. I think we lost 12 games, 16 games that year in the regular season. I could be definitely wrong. But we definitely lost more games in our sophomore year. But we were playing really good baseball. We got through the regional, and then we had to play Minnesota for a super regional. And the one thing I remember about that Minnesota team was a little pitcher named Max Meyer. That guy was nasty. He was, I want to say, maybe under 6 foot, 5'10". He was a two-way guy, and he was just fireballer. He had a fastball, slider. They looked the exact same until like a couple feet before the play, and the slider would just break. And the thing that was gritty was that his cleats weren't even like, he didn't have like a pitcher's toe because he's also a shortstop. So when he would pitch, his cleat would just get banged up, and it was like tearing and everything. But that guy was nasty. But Minnesota was a really good team. They were scrappy, but you know, it was hard fought, but we won the series in that. And it was really cool because the first time we went to Omaha our sophomore year, you know, we dogpiled going to Omaha. You know, we were super excited. But the second time we beat Minnesota and we were going to Omaha, it was more like you know, everybody understood, like, okay, like, we did it, now it's business time. Like, no messing around. We've been here before. Like, here we go. Yeah, and it was nice in that time too because the draft was going on. I mean, that team was just loaded. You know, we had 3 first-rounders. We had Nick Madrigal go 3rd overall to the White Sox. Trevor Larnach, I think he went 24th overall to the Twins, and then Caden Grenier, our shortstop, went 31st overall to the Orioles. And then I was fortunate enough to get picked up in the 5th round, and then we had Drew Rasmussen get picked up in the 8th round, who just made his debut a month ago. And then we had Michael Gretler in the 10th round. So that was like a lot of our starting lineup right there got drafted. And I think that played a big factor into our success in Omaha because, you know, you're going in, there's no more stress of like, oh, I have to play well. You know, I want to get drafted, I want to do well. You know, we had all of our draft stuff's been done, and now it's just like we're playing baseball. And I want to say what was fortunate for us was that usually, since Oregon State's on a quarter system, we usually have our finals in Omaha, so we have schoolwork. But I think something happened with the quarter system or whatever, but we did it a week early, so this was our first time that we were able to go to Omaha with no stress of draft and no stress of school. Because I remember last year failing a final actually in Omaha our sophomore year, so that was nice to just kind of have a breath of fresh air for Omaha. Yeah, so with our sights set forward towards Omaha and knowing what the big deal was and all that, we were gonna get the job done. So it didn't actually go the way we wanted it to. We faced North Carolina the first game, and they were an extremely good team, and you know, their unis are so fresh. Gotta give them that as a shout out. They got the cleanest unis in the college baseball game. But we played them, and we actually lost our first game. We honestly just played a terrible game. Didn't do very well as a team, and we got put in the losers bracket, which was way different than being in the winners bracket in Omaha because you get way more rest, and you know, it's just a much better place to be. So going in the losers bracket, we had to fight our way through. So we lost to North Carolina, and then we played UW, and we were actually losing to UW up until the 7th inning, and that's when we were kind of looking. We didn't really let doubt creep into us, but it had to be noted. We were like we got to get something going on like soon, or our dreams are over. We're gonna go 2-0. And you know, the baseball gods, I guess, shined on us because in Omaha it gets really, really hot, but for some reason it just started storming. And people make the joke, you know, Beavers do well in water. So, you know, we had the rain delay. Waited for about an hour and a half. And I actually want to give a shout out to Tyler Malone because I still talked about this a lot. When the rain delay started, it was bases loaded, 2 outs, and we were down by 1. And Tyler Malone's up, and then they just call the rain delay. So you got this kid in the locker room, he knows it's a big thing. It's the 7th inning, 6th or 7th inning, high leverage spot, and he's got to get this AB done. You know, we didn't bother him. We knew he would get the job done, and he grinded that bat out. We get back after an hour and a half. He works a full count walk and spits on a ball that was like just barely off the plate. Takes the pitch, ball 4, we tie the game up, and the momentum from that just took off. I want to say, I'm gonna probably get fact checked here, but we scored maybe upwards of like 8 runs in those next couple innings, and after that, it definitely took off. We won that game. We played North Carolina again, beat them, and then we played Mississippi State twice to get into the finals because Mississippi State was in the winners bracket, so we had to beat them twice. They only had to beat us once. And unfortunately, during all that, when we played UW was when I pulled my hammy. So that was really tough for me, making it all the way out there and then just not being able to help my team. But again, like I said before, we were playing for each other, and I couldn't make it about me. You know, you couldn't have that kind of drama around. So I told myself the only way that I'm gonna be able to help is to be as supportive as I can to my teammates. You know, like it's extremely hot out there. You gotta give them some water when they get in the dugout, get them a cold rag or whatever, cheer them on, keep the energy up in the dugout. I did everything I could, so I had to just be contributing anyway. And we had such a good, deep team. You know, next guy up, Preston Jones, Jack Anderson, they picked it up afterwards. So it all worked out really well. Yeah, and then at the end, we faced Arkansas for the championship, and as it would have it, we lost that first game just like we did with North Carolina. So in the series of 3, we had to beat them twice if we had any hope, and of course if they beat us once, it was going to be out. And I give it up. That Arkansas team was extremely good. Great pitching. Those guys raked over there. Van Horn over there is a great coach. They had our number, truthfully. They beat us that first game pretty handedly, and then that second game, they were beating us the whole game. And like I said before, we never really had doubt in our minds, but at the end, it was kind of starting to get evident, like, okay, we got to get something going, or you know, things are going to get real ugly. We're going to be bounced out. And it's the thing that everybody, you know, I get a lot of questions about. It was the inevitable foul ball, the little Bermuda Triangle. And it's extremely cliche to say, but you know, we saw the ball go up and we're like damn, like maybe it'll get cut up in the wind or something, just praying. and the stadium's going crazy. And mind you, the stadium is full of Arkansas fans, because Arkansas, I want to say, was like 6 hours away, which was the closest college in the College World Series to Omaha. So they had once they knew they were in the World Series, they had all their fans drive out. So like percentage wise, it was like 80% Arkansas fans. So ball goes up, the stadium is howling, you know, super loud, everything. And then the ball just drops. And then that was the quietest I had heard the stadium at all. You know, we had our small group of Beaver fans scattered around, and they weren't cheering, but you know, everybody kind of knew like, uh-oh, like you can't give them a second chance like that. And like I said, as corny as it is, like we knew once that ball dropped, like we got a really good chance of making something happen. You can't give good hitters like Caden Grenier another chance. So Caden battles back, fouls off some tough pitches, takes some good balls, and then singles the ball through the 6 hole, and that tied the game up. And it's crazy to think really like how the things could change if they caught that, because if they caught that, the game's over. But Caden battled back, and then he got his single, and then I want to say it was a walk, and then Trevor Larnick with just the clutchest home run you could ever imagine. That thing from the dugout, that thing was like a shooting star. It got out so fast, like pulled the ball inside. He doesn't really pull a lot of balls. He's usually kind of the guy that stays to the ball and makes left center his home run territory, but he got the pitch he was looking for on a 2-0 count and just obliterated the ball. And if people know Trevor, he's not like a very emotional person, but if you go back on the film, this dude's screaming around the bases, which I think is the funniest thing ever. He's screaming, you know, yelling, giving like, pointing, like all that stuff, and then he gets in the dugout and he spikes his helmet into the dugout. So that's something I remember very fondly. So we take the lead, and then, you know, it's our bullpen does the job and we close it out. So, and with that momentum, with baseball being a huge momentum game, we were really confident we could take game 3, and then Kevin Abel just shows up and has the time of his life. I mean, the kid was just nasty that day, and it's just he's a stud. He's really just a stud. So he put it out, and then, you know, we won the game. So that was a really special moment for me, just because I was able to share that with all my teammates. You know, we go through all the 6 a.m. weights and, you know, grinding together, and to be able to play the last game and win it, that's something I cherish the most, is just being able to share that with my best friends. Yeah, so with the high of winning the College World Series, we moved on. Unfortunately, everybody had to go their separate ways with getting drafted and playing summer ball. So that's always, it's definitely a sweet moment for me, but bittersweet as well, because the day after we won the College World Series is the last time we were all together as a team. So, you know, it's mixed emotions there, but obviously really cool. But after that, I went to Cleveland to go sign my official contract. And then after that, I went straight to Arizona to rehab my hamstring, which, like I said, I had hurt at the College World Series. And that was really tough, because hamstrings are a very kind of fickle thing. You know, you can't rush them back. You gotta take it really nice and slow. And it sucked. You know, going into your professional career, you're going to rehab. You know, you get in at 8 o'clock. You gotta go through all your stuff. You don't really get to mingle with the other guys, just the guys who are hurt. So it was definitely hard on me in the beginning, because, you know, you have that doubt as well, like, oh, am I going to be the same after this? You know, I'd already had a previous hamstring injury, you know, now I've had hamstring injury in the other one. Is this going to affect other things? But again, it's sticking with like the mental game, meditation, staying confident and positive, surrounding yourself with good people. That really helped my mindset. So I ended up playing maybe roughly 10 games in rookie ball after that. Got called up to short season. We made the playoffs, and then, you know, I was thinking like, oh, well, I won a ring for college, you know, might as well go win a ring for, you know, our short season team and playoffs, let's do it. And then we got bounced out in 2 games. So that was pretty anticlimactic, but that was a cool first experience, kind of starting at the bottom and then kind of make my way up from rookie ball to short season. Yeah, so after that first year, you know, went through the off season, went back to school for a little bit, and then I had my first spring training, which was definitely a little intimidating going into it. You know, there's, I want to say like 250 players, and they're all cramped into one complex. There's like 3 full locker rooms of like 100, whatever. So it's just a lot of people. It's a zoo. There's people going everywhere. So it was a little intimidating for sure. I told myself I didn't want to, become known as a troublemaker or anything. So I just kept my head down, and just if I had somewhere to go, I would just make sure I got there. But it's funny because I mentioned that because one of my buddies who is actually a really good friend, we're really close now, Tyler Freeze, he told me when his first impression of me was a bad one, because he said that I had my head down and I was acting like I owned the place, when in reality I was like, dude, I just didn't want to bother anybody. Like, I wasn't trying to act like all stuck up in that. So he thought that I was a real jerk there, but now obviously we're really close. But the spring training was really cool. Learned a lot of things. It was really cool seeing the big league guys, Lindor, at the time, Kluber, Carrasco, all those guys. It was really cool. Yeah, had a good spring training. Fortunate enough to get the call to high A, so I skipped low A, and I got sent out to Lynchburg, Virginia, which is the home of the University of Liberty. So that was really cool. I'd never been to Virginia before, and really I never spent a prolonged time on the East Coast, so it was kind of interesting just kind of being out there on my own, living there, with new teammates and everything too. Didn't really know the guys super well in the beginning, so I was really alone for a little bit in the beginning. The season is pretty it's mellow. It's just it's just a grind. You play baseball every day. If you have a bad day, you got the next day. So it's just kind of thing. You just have to stay mentally strong and just stay healthy through the whole thing. So that was a big goal I had. That was a big goal I had for me, was just to stay healthy during the whole thing. So I thought I had a really successful first year. With this COVID stuff going on, it's been obviously a little different. When we were in spring trainings, when we got the word that we were sending everybody home, and they initially told us that it was gonna be 2 weeks. So one of my buddies who just moved out to Texas invited me and another teammate to stay out in Texas. So we stay there thinking it's gonna be 2 weeks, and lo and behold, they just up and canceled the season. So I spent about 3 months in Texas, grinding with the guys. We got a lot of good work in. It was really awesome. Live ABs, it was super productive. And then after that, I came back around July to see my parents and all that, and see some of their friends. So it's been nice kind of being able to come home. I haven't been home for a summer in 5 years, so it's been really nice to just spend that time with some family and friends. We've been doing our little COVID league with the guys. Us, Nick, Cal organizes a bunch of pitchers to come out, and we just grind on a little high school field. It's been fun kind of getting all that work in, but I think we're just making do with what we've got, and I think that's the important thing. This is a time where it's a very easy excuse to say you can't do things, and I'm a firm believer that if you want to do something, you'll find a way to do it, and if you don't want to do something, you'll find an excuse to say. So the people who are getting their work in right now are getting their work in, and the people who are just telling themselves excuses, I think it'll catch up. But I've been surrounding myself with a lot of good people. Like I said, Nick here, appreciate him a ton. We've all been getting that work in, and we know the game knows, so putting our head down and going to work, it's gonna pay off. I think something important that I wish I would have known earlier, and something I would want other people to believe in, is don't compare yourself to others. I think that was a real big source of my fear and doubt growing up. Kind of dating, like when we were talking earlier about how I was never chosen for area codes, never chosen for USA. It was always like, oh, like they're doing better than I am. How can I compare to that? Why am I not comparing to that? The thing that's given me real peace of mind is just to stay in your own lane. Keep worrying about your own lawn. Other lawns are going to be a different shade of green, a different kind of green, taller, shorter, but at the end of the day, they're all lawns. If you take care of your own lawn, you'll be just in fine shape. And I think that also leads into just kind of confidence thing. Having confidence in every aspect of life is extremely important. Again, I used to be someone who wasn't very confident, and at times, still deal with confidence issues, but staying on top, staying confident, believing you're the man, like that's extremely important. And I also want to be that kind of guy, like a role model of sorts to like Asian American athletes out there, because I feel like growing up I saw a lot of Asian athletes who just didn't really pursue the sport that they liked because from what I saw, their parents pushed them to like stay away from sports because it wasn't lucrative, and they really enjoyed it. But you know, if your parents are telling you to do something, then you know you're gonna do it regardless of how you feel. So I'd always want a role model when I grow up of like an Asian American. And I mean, there's like, you know, there's some of them right now, like there's Colton Wong, you know, Naomi Osaka for tennis. Like those kind of people are really cool role models. You know, I just hope I could inspire a younger Asian American athlete to just keep pursuing it, keep pushing, stay confident, and just keep doing what you love. All right, well, thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate y'all listening to my story. Big shout out to Nick, of course. Appreciate you a ton, man. Thank you for this whole thing. You know, I know mom and dad, you guys are gonna be watching this, so love you guys when you see this. Yeah, thank you for tuning in. Stay tuned for the next episode. Love y'all, thank you.